Mali, in the hills of Dogon country, in a remote village called Banjugu, a smallholder farmer named Anta begins her day.
There are 7 people in my family. Each morning I wake up, prepare the children for school. Then I fetch 20 liters of water.
The water source is a kilometer away in a deep canyon.
Then I tend to my onions. In the afternoon, I cure the millet for the evening meal.
When it's time to sell her crops, it's another long trek.
I have to cross 3 valleys to get to the Kokola market. The market is not easy.
Across Africa, millions of smallholder farmers face the same routine of long walks to uncertain markets in a region where food security is uncertain.
Food security is when all people have enough access to the right kinds of foods that they need to meet their nutritional needs throughout the year. Most food is grown by the private sector, by small farmers. And they have to have access to markets to be able to get that food out to people who don't grow food, who need it.
Now, smallholder farmers like Anta are in a cusp of a revolution in how farmers are connected to markets. The key to this connection is school children. It turns out that one of the most reliable reducers of poverty in Africa is school attendance.
For every additional year of education, every one additional grade that a child stays in school has a measurable impact on national economic growth and poverty reduction as a result of that. So that's why it's so important to keep children in school.
How does school attendance reduce poverty? It happens when school children are fed.
The evidence is quite strong that the provision of meals in schools is a major attractor for children to come to school, even if they've never been to school before. There's always a bump in attendance.
When school children and farmers come together, they both win. This is the story of a revolution in school feeding, a revolution that reduces poverty. It's called homegrown school feeding, and in Africa, it's now underway.
With homegrown school feeding, it's really a school feeding sourced by local farmers. It's using the local product for school feeding. So it's like a program from the village to the school. Local farmers are supplying their own school.
Feeding school children is nothing new.
These days, school feeding in one form or another is being applied by governments pretty much in every country in the world. It's being accepted as not just as a good idea, but something that governments really ought to do.
What's new is how the public and private sector come together. Homegrown school feeding uses national governments to purchase food from local smallholder farmers to feed school children and reap the benefits. Homegrown school feeding is different in every country, but each program has a few things in common. In a region where few farmers have reliability in income, homegrown school feeding provides a structured demand. Schools provide a guaranteed food market for farmers who know they will get an agreed price. Local school children eat at school, which improves learning. Homegrown school feeding programs are run at the national level and result in collaboration between ministries of education, agriculture, and health. And it has to start somewhere. Mali has undergone conflict that has torn its north. From the ancient city of Timbuktu to the hills of Dogon country, Mali has been seeing one of the most intense conflicts in the world. Yet, through all this, implementing homegrown school feeding has carried on. This means that farmers like Anta in Banjugu might soon be part of a national solution to school feeding, as homegrown school feeding takes its first steps in Banjugu. On the other side of the continent, a government-supported HGSF program is now starting to spread its wings. Naivasha, Kenya, a community alongside Lake Naivasha in central Kenya. Here, the schools are filled with the children of farmers. Farmers like Teresia.
A single mother.
I am a single mother and I have 4 children. We stay alone because my husband passed on 2 years ago. I sustain the family alone. I take care of the children and I take the children to school.
If they can be spared from farm duties to get to school. That school is North Karate Primary School, and it is here that the Ministry of Agriculture began a homegrown school feeding program.
So I would say that the issue of absenteeism was rampant. Children come to school when they are not well fed.
Patrick Sondra is head teacher at North Karate Primary School.
We found that if we could support these children to feed in the school, they will have a very big advantage in that, one, they will eat food that is hot, nutritious, very balanced, and at the same time help to improve their performance. We were fortunate that among all the schools that had at least written the proposal, we were chosen as one of the schools to benefit. We are combining our efforts through all the parents, the stakeholders, to see on how we can at least make this program a success.
The national government's representative in North Karate makes sure government services happen on the ground.
When we called the parents, we were able to discuss with them, plus the other stakeholders. And we told them exactly what the school feeding program would be and why it was being brought to the school and why it was felt that the school would be part of the project.
The parents and school officials formed a school feeding committee, advised and trained by the Ministry of Agriculture on how to get the program rolling.
This building is our kitchen. It was constructed by the help of the school management committee, which so it was necessary at least to have somewhere where I could cook for these children. And this is how they came about, soliciting for funds and constructing it.
The HGSF program not only buys from local farmers, it also teaches them how to increase their crop yields. Farmers like Teresia.
I have learned how to till the soil, how I should divide the farm, how to separate the crops, to separate the beans from the maize. I will not wander around looking for kales to buy in the market. Now I go to the farm and pluck some and cook for my children, and they sleep well.
Better farming has led to better food, and the school in turn needed to hire 2 new cooks.
Among the so many applicants who wanted this, these posts of the cooks, the one called Teresia, who is one of our committee members, she got the job.
This job is good, and I have benefited. I am not worried where to get money or to find the next meal.
Which means Teresia's children are attending school instead of tending the farm. Attendance at North Karate Primary School has gone from 70% to 90%. And Teresia now has a full-time job as a school cook. In Teresia, all aspects of homegrown school feeding come together. She's a smallholder farmer, a mother of children in the school, and an employee of the school.
My first salary, I built this house for my son, and my next one took him to school, and that is what has educated him till today.
As it moves into subsequent years, homegrown school feeding takes hold, paying dividends to the community. Back in Mali, a village called Diabolo has taken everything a step further. A smallholder farmer named Mariam is preparing to go to the market.
We used to go for market day to trade crops. It was a very hard journey.
It is a 10-kilometer trek by hired donkey cart to a teeming marketplace in Djenné, in in front of Mali's most famous landmark, a mosque that is the largest mud structure in the world. For years, this has been Mariam's expensive and time-consuming routine to get her crop to market. But this routine and her life is about to change. That's because Mariam has just been selected by Diabolo's school to provide its meals, which means the children here will eat fresh, nutritious, locally grown food. And Mariam's new market for her crop is now 10 minutes away, not 10 kilometers. This is homegrown school feeding in action. In the past, the school meals came from overseas.
At that time, we didn't even know the food was coming from abroad. But with time, we came to understand and were disappointed.
Like in Kenya, with government support, the school formed a feeding committee to look into using local food in schools.
We were not sure of the quality of the food that was brought by those organizations. It wasn't the taste we wanted. With the local product, we are getting the taste we want.
It's no surprise that children prefer home cooking. So the committee took bids from local farmers to provide food for the schools.
Their school management committee, they have a call for bid program, and farmers have to apply for the bid.
They make an announcement in the village. The people who are interested write their name on an envelope. This year I was chosen. I was lucky.
It's more than just assuring that food is locally grown. It ensures transparency and avoids corruption. The tenders are published, the bid amounts specified, and quality control inspections at the school level ensure that the program funds school feeding only.
And if you are accepted, you bring your product, and they have a technical agricultural agent come to their school, really inspect the cereals supplied by local farmers, see if they are proper for consumption.
And when Mariam's food passed the test, she became one of the providers of nutritious, locally grown food to Diabolo's school children.
The school feeding program is important because this is a farming town. It's good to have a closer market. We can control the quality and ensure it is healthy.
And school attendance is rising.
It's good for the farmers to know that the food they grow helps children to come to school.
And for Mariam, the days of unreliable prices at faraway markets are gone.
I am very happy, like a dream. You don't make big money, but you are sure that you are not losing any money.
This program is changing their lives. They are proud. Now we have a kind of security.
The program was designed by Mamoudou Doumbia from Mali's Ministry of Education.
The school is really a success story. Before there were only 20 kids, and now there are over 206 classrooms with 7 teachers. This is a success that needs to be supported even when partners withdraw.
In Diabolo, homegrown school feeding is underway. Children are being fed, and the farmer prospers. Can homegrown school feeding extend throughout Africa? Back in Western Kenya, one school thinks it is ready. Bukusi Primary School in Kakamega in Western Kenya. 2 years ago, it was just another school in a region where 2/3 of the population lives in poverty.
This region is an agricultural region. Most of the people actually are peasant farmers. Small scale, they just produce enough to feed themselves and not throughout the whole year. So it is actually feeding from hand to mouth.
Regina teaches at the school.
The children in this school have gone through turbulent times because there are times when we have no harvest. Before, children had to go home to get their lunch. Others would just stay in class with no lunch. And some had to leave their homes even without breakfast. And they have to stay at school the whole day without any meal until in the evening when they go back home, and they are also not assured of having a meal.
One of those hungry students was Audrey.
Audrey is a hardworking student. But 2 years ago, she lost the parent, and it was very difficult for her. But thanks God, the uncle took her, and they stay with the uncle, who is just staying near the school. It's a stone throw from the school.
That uncle's name is James, and he's a smallholder farmer.
I was not able to help her much. I was doing small-scale farming that was not doing well. I had problems planting maize. I never knew how to space the crops. I used to plant randomly.
Just as he came to Audrey's rescue, Audrey one day came to her Uncle James with news that would change their lives.
Audrey came and told me that the school wanted to start a school feeding program.
It was true. Head teacher Moses Mete had made the proposal to the Ministry of Education.
I filled the proposal. After some 2 months, they came back and told me, your school has won, you will be given the program.
When I heard of this feeding program, first of all, it came like a dream. And I was like, is it a reality? But indeed, when it started, it's like a miracle that has just happened.
But it's a miracle that grows out of hard work.
I applied for the tender to supply food to the school, and the school told me to go for training first. I was taught on how to space my crop and the quality of the seeds to use, and how to portion the fertilizer when planting. On nutrition, we were taught on diversification of foods, to include foods that add energy and vitamins such as beans.
These better farming skills increase rural development.
I started to yield more on my farm.
He's an entrepreneur who wanted to increase his production, and from his 3-acre farm, he was able to take the technologies which were taught in school and implement.
The reliable, structured demand for his crop has changed James' life. The output of his farm is up more than 500%.
When I started, I produced 18 bags of maize, and then progressed to 32 bags, then 50. Then I reached 86 bags last year. Today I have 100 plus bags.
In school, Audrey, who once went hungry, is getting fed.
In the last exams, she was actually position 3. I see she has a lot of potential, that even in the national exams, she is likely to perform very well.
Audrey is not an isolated case. In the 2 years since the school feeding program began, Bikusi Primary School has been transformed.
In Kakamega, Bikusi Primary School, they were able to increase their performance index from 242 to 276, which is quite substantial, which means that more children were able to access secondary schools instead of them dropping and going back to the village.
And we were awarded a certificate of best improved school in the district. And this lunch assisted the children to improve. The question of malnutrition, it is not there now.
And James, the farmer, is not finished learning either. Through the school feeding program, the Ministry of Agriculture has also trained him on how to store grain. That has boosted the price he gets.
The training on storage has helped me when I harvest. I store my grain and wait for when the prices are at a higher profit.
This surplus he can sell outside the school and increase his profits. And James is reinvesting his profits in better farming and a better life for his children.
I used to live in a small mud house, but since the program, I was able to build a bigger stone house.
The structured demand of homegrown school feeding has allowed James to invest in his farm and increase his productivity, selling not just to the school, but everywhere. This is how homegrown school feeding works, increasing skills and the development of rural communities.
Kakamega area, there are a lot of more farmers taking up technologies of improved use of fertilizers and quality seeds, and they have been able to produce more food. So increasing food security has been also a major benefit.
I feel good when I see my child eating this food. I see her health improving.
The evidence that school feeding works is clear, but school feeding is complex and challenging. It's not one size fits all. School feeding programs need to be designed to meet their local needs and constraints. Gathering empirical